And welcome back to Grade 5 Science. Today we'll continue with Block 1 Circulatory System, Set 4 Circulation of the Blood. Today's aim is that you will be able to explain the process of blood circulation. Keywords. Please note them down so that you remember them. Deoxygenated, oxygenated, aorta, pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein.
So now I'll demonstrate the activity of our lesson. So we have the lungs, the left side of the heart, the body parts and the right side of the heart. We have the blood flow, 2 oxygens and 1 carbon dioxide. Let's say the blood flow starts from the left side of the heart. So here the blood is oxygenated, the blood has oxygen. So the left side of the heart pumps the oxygenated blood through the aorta, the aorta, to the body parts where the blood gives its oxygen to the body parts and takes the carbon dioxide with it to the right side of the heart through veins, through many veins. So it reaches the right side of the heart and the right side of the heart pumps the deoxygenated blood through the pulmonary artery to the lungs. Through the pulmonary artery, the right side of the heart pumps the deoxygenated blood to the lungs. Here there is a gaseous exchange and the blood gives the carbon dioxide and takes the oxygen with it. Then through the pulmonary vein, the blood comes from the lungs to the left side of the heart. Here the blood is oxygenated, and this is the cycle which continues from the left side of the heart through the aorta to the body parts, and then from the veins to the right side of the heart, then from the pulmonary artery to the lungs, and then the pulmonary vein to the left side of the heart. Now we'll go back to the lesson.
Now we will look at some of the appetizer questions. How does blood reach different parts of the body? And how does it return back to the heart? Those questions you are to think on your own and you don't have to answer them. Now we'll look at blood circulation. The definition given for blood circulation is the movement of the blood from various body parts to the heart and back. That is the definition given for blood circulation. Remember. And the definitions for deoxygenated blood is that blood that has low level of oxygen and high level of carbon dioxide. So deoxygenated means low oxygen and oxygenated means blood that has high levels of oxygen and low levels of carbon dioxide and other gases. Because the air we breathe in has different amount of different gases, so oxygenated blood does not only contain oxygen, it also has some other gases. Now, in the exhaled air, that is the air that is released from the deoxygenated blood in the lungs, is the proportion. So there is 16% oxygen still in it, and 4.4% carbon dioxide. But the inhaled air has 21% of oxygen and 0.04% of carbon dioxide. You can pause the video and compare between both the pie charts so that you can understand more clearly. And be sure to make notes in your notebook. Now we'll look at the steps through which blood circulation happens. The blood enters through the right atrium from the body and it comes through the veins. So as we know that deoxygenated blood is sent back to the heart from the veins, the same way, in clearer words, from the deoxygenated blood is sent from the body to the right atrium via veins, and this has very little oxygen and a lot of carbon dioxide. Now the second step is that from the right atrium it is sent to the left atrium via a valve, and there it is pumped to the lungs to be oxygenated through the pulmonary artery. You will come to know what pulmonary artery is soon. And then this step is going on in the lungs, the carbon dioxide is being removed from the blood so that oxygen can take its place. Now we'll look at the third step of the blood circulation. Now the oxygenated blood from the lungs return to the left atrium via pulmonary vein, and you will come to know about this later with the pulmonary artery. So the oxygenated blood, the newly oxygenated blood, returns from the lungs to the heart, and from the left atrium it is sent to the left ventricle through the valves. And now we'll look at the fourth step. In the fourth step, we'll look at what happens in the left ventricle. In the left ventricle, the oxygenated blood is pumped back into the main artery, that is the aorta. And this main artery takes the oxygenated blood to the rest of the body from the heart. Now the question is, how does the blood circulate between the heart and the blood vessels? For that, we have veins from upper body and the lower body bringing deoxygenated blood, that is blood which has more of carbon dioxide than oxygen, to the heart. Then the heart pumps it back to the lungs so that the blood can get oxygenated. And when the blood is oxygenated, it comes back to the heart and then is pumped to different parts of the body. And this is done, the delivery of the oxygenated blood is done through an artery called aorta. So what are pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein? These both are very special. We'll know why. Pulmonary artery is the artery that carries deoxygenated blood to the lungs from the heart. But actually, arteries are the ones that carry oxygenated blood. So pulmonary artery is the only artery in our whole body that carries deoxygenated blood. The same way, pulmonary vein is the vein that carries oxygenated blood to the heart from the lungs. And this is otherwise in the case of veins, because veins carry deoxygenated blood in our body. This makes pulmonary vein the only vein that carries oxygenated blood to the heart. Now we will look at some more of the topics. So when you go to the doctor, he has a stethoscope around his neck and he uses that to listen to your heartbeat. Have you ever tried it yourself? Maybe when you were younger. So when you listen through a stethoscope, you hear a lub-dub sound, and that is so rhythmic because it is caused by the closing and opening of the valves inside your heart. And it is really rhythmic because the blood should be sent into different chambers of the heart and in a particular period of time. If it does not reach there, either you have a heart attack and die, or you be paralyzed. But that you don't need to know those information. Now we'll go into pulse. In the last video, I talked about pulse, and we'll talk a few information more about it. So pulse is the light movement which is felt only in a few points of our body, and these few points are the places where the main blood vessels, that is the artery and the vein, are nearer to the skin than the others. For example, the neck and the wrist. So, and it is felt every time the heart beats. So, if you put your hand against your neck or your wrist, you feel the lub-dub sound, and the faint lub-dub feeling. That is basically the feeling of the lub-dub sound in near your chest. Now, what should we do to have a healthy circulatory system? So, to have a healthy circulatory system, we should avoid fatty food, that is junk food, and food that has a lot of fat that will block the arteries with unnecessary fat and will affect the blood circulation. This leads on to having heart attacks and all those sort of diseases. Then we should be exercising regularly so that we burn away the extra fat and strengthen our heart muscles. Now, did you know our body has 7 to 9% of blood in, and so if you are 50 kgs, then your body will have 3.5 to 4.5 liters of blood. So think if you are 70 or if you are 30 kgs and calculate it. Now the glossaries. Atrium. Atrium is the upper chamber through which the blood enters the heart. Ventricles are the lower chambers that collect and expel the blood from the atrium. Then the contraction, process of a muscle becoming smaller and tighter. Relaxation, process of a muscle relaxing and letting blood flow out. Valves, flap-like structures in the heart that helps in the regulation of the flow of blood. Diseases, conditions that are harmful to one's health. Hemoglobin, pigment or substance that helps in transportation of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Deoxygenated, with very less or no blood, and oxygenated, rich in oxygen. And chamber is an enclosed space. Now we will look at some hearts. It is said that for a healthy heart, one should exercise regularly and should avoid fatty food. Why is it so? Why should one exercise regularly and then should avoid fatty food? And what could happen if we ate a lot of fatty food? I mean, they are tasty, aren't they? Now we'll look at the worksheet you have to do today. The first one, you have to go back to where you have been taught about the blood vessels and listen to the video again to finish this. And the second question, you have to Remember what happens when you eat a lot of fatty food and do not exercise. And then come up with a few points which will help you to be fit and have a healthy circulatory system. Now we will look at the practice questions. Please read the questions properly and do the questions on your own and then check the answers. Homework. Finish S4 and do practice questions 7 and 8 in your notebook. And remember, someone is watching you if you try to copy. Thank you. Have a nice day.